All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Excuse me. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Thursday. Is it Thursday, really? Thursday, March 16th, 2023. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Here every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the GAR Capital YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and go over it. Dow futures down 122. NASDAQ is pretty much flat. S&P down about 13 handles. Russell down about 1.1% this morning, 1743. Oil futures 67.23 a barrel, finally broke below that 70 level. Again, like I talked about before, I think energy is still going to keep falling. I think oil is going to keep falling. So again, it's going to be a tough sledding to compare to last year when we had $130 a barrel. That's now we cut that in half. $2.42 for gasoline futures, down about 0.55%. Gold futures 1931. Silver futures $21.96. Right now, a 0.33%. Copper futures up 0.34% at $3.85. Was at $4 earlier this week, so copper taking a hit. Not good for equities when we want equities to go higher. 105.90. Up 15 pips for the euro dollar. We're having the ECB this morning regarding rate hikes for them for the eurozone. Dollar yen 132.37, down 105 pips. That's good for yields. Yields this morning are down 63, 3.429. We're below 3.5% on a TNX. That's great. The dollar still hovering around 105, that 105 level, but we're at 104.50, down 0.12%. The volatility index 27.25, up 4.25%. Bitcoin is up 24,835, up 1.41%. And Ethereum 1657 this morning. That is up marginally. It's pretty much flat. Okay, let's go over the S&P this morning, and we'll go over the trades of yesterday. S&P this morning on the future side, I drew this red trend line here. We did break a little bit, but again, it's still higher lows. We got to 3,900 like we expected yesterday for the most part. We got as high as around 39, let's say 39.45 or so. Seems to be some supply level there at 39.50 and at 4,000, or 39.72, excuse me, on the way to 4,000. So look at the action you've had since Monday. I mean, not much. Just ping-ponging around, looking for opportunities. Been a tough one. I do have QQQ calls. Remember we talked about that yesterday? Let's take a look at that price action. We talked about this top end here being that little bit mid-channel. We broke below it the morning, and then we bounced up higher for the rest of the day, which was great. So again, it took a little patience. We were down a little bit. We are now green on that trade on QQQ. I think we're up about 12% now, nearly in the money. We were in the money this morning. Right now, we're right at 298.20. That's about, well, let's call it 70 cents, 73 cents away from yesterday's close. Some of the members closed it yesterday just due to risk. I let them know, hey, it's green. If you guys want to get out and salvage, or not salvage, but again, just take your risk off the board. We took Boeing yesterday. We took Microsoft yesterday. So the members did catch a little something. I do have Qs. I still think we get to 300. You can see that here. This is a little bit of resistance here. We'll see if we get a little bit of a pop here as we move on in the morning. NASDAQ is holding better versus the broader market. As long as we hold above 296.87, tomorrow is OPEX. And after yesterday's red day, I expect a little bit of a relief rally as we had towards the end of the session. So we'll see how we go moving forward on the NASDAQ. Microsoft, we did play. We got the 265s. They are in the money. Well done. It did hit our target around 266. Next target being 270. That was a great trade. It was a quick one. So well done, team. But again, if you're still holding it, you are in the money. You can always take your runners. Again, you still have till tomorrow. We'll see where we go. Boeing was a watch list name that we talked about. And let's take a look at the daily chart. Again, we do have that gap to fill here at 191. We played that gap fill. We got 40% on Boeing, took our money, and ran. And now you can see that we still have a little more room to that gap fill. We are now red on the day on Boeing. Let's see if the acceleration does come down as value stocks are taking a hit, like for example the Dow Jones index. But again, you could see that 100-day moving average being 190. We're below the 20. We're below the 50. The 20 just crossed below the 50. So again, very much a bearish pattern on Boeing for right now. I expect this to continue to come down, if not by this week, by next week to 190, and then you're probably looking for a play to bounce, if anything, since we're running out of gaps. If you're looking at Boeing, again, you could see that here has been that zone that we've been in. We broke above that, got to 220, overshot it. Now we're right now at the 200 level, 198 or so. We'll fill this gap here relatively soon, and then see if we can play a bounce and maybe just get back to 200 if anything. Or if we break down below the 100, we could take a look at the 180 to around 175 strike, which would be the next support zone, which was previous resistance. So again, Boeing giving us an opportunity to play the stock. AMD, I watched yesterday. You could see that it got to 90. We did have the 90 calls early this week anyway, so well done. Beautiful break. We did have that gap fill. It did not fill. It's still open, but then tech and semiconductors were outperforming, and that's what happened yesterday on AMD. Was watching Google as well. Google did have a nice boost with the rest of the market, so it really is pick and choose when Qs are starting to move a little higher. Google, Amazon, I don't think Apple participated. Tesla did not participate. That I saw. Tesla was holding a little bit, but Meta was up. So again, it's kind of like pick your horse at the end of the day when it comes to tech. You know, you have those 5 mega cap companies: Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta. So again, you can kind of interchange that, throw in Tesla in there, throw in Nvidia and AMD. That right there, guys, you already have 9 stocks that you could pick from, not including the ETFs. I would focus most of my energy on those names because they have a lot of volume and they're always in demand, whether it's buying or selling. So, you know, stick to those big 5 names. If you're just starting out into options trading, stick with mega cap names with high volumes, very tight spreads. Boeing spread wasn't the best when we signaled it, but again, it did work out for us. We knew exactly what our target was. It was a watch list play, so we stuck to our guns there. In terms of Google, again, I have an alert at 97.77. Could reject, but if it does break, we're taking a look at possibly the 100 calls going into next week. We'll see what we get. Again, my eyes are on tech because we do have Qs. We're starting to bounce a little bit. I think we retest 300. We'll pull the ripcord. We'll take our profit, leave a runner for tomorrow for OPEX. We'll see what we get from there. But with Qs, again, if we catch it, which we're green, we're pretty much 100% for the week, which is great. Because last week we had a little bit of not adversity, but a little bit of issues, obviously, with exiting the SPY trade and Google finally started to move as we got out last week. So if we would have just got it for this week, that would have made it up for it. But either way, again, I expect Qs to go higher. So if you do have Qs right now and you're from the Discord channel or you're one of our members, again, I'll be holding this morning. I'll get to around 300. Maybe we get in the money, and I'll pull it and I'll close it out. You guys can close it out as well. But again, if you think it has a little more juice, which I may think it does, 302.50 is not out of the realm of reality by the end of the week. But 300 is a key level. That seems to be that magnet for Qs. Kind of an inverse head and shoulders. Maybe setting up for Qs on the 1 hour. That means we get a little higher. I'll go ahead and show you the inverse head and shoulders here. Not the sexiest, but 1, 2, 3. We should get to 302 if not 304. I would not add any new positions on Qs. I would just take what I got and then call it a week. After all this choppiness, let's take a look at the SPX. Again, really choppy action since Monday. Look at this. We've been as high as 39.37. We got as low as 38.40. Or, yeah, 38.40 or so. Or 38.08. About 100 points. That's 4 trades that we did in between that. Again, very, very difficult environment. I'm pretty sure a lot of members are probably like, why don't we do more? Why don't we do more? Again, we just want to have high probability setups. Again, quality over quantity. That's the key. That's what we're trying to do, especially in this tape. You got bank failures. You got all this stuff going on. So again, you want to be careful. So again, if you're deep green in anything, you know, obviously depending on what it is, and maybe it's puts, maybe it's calls, what have you. Again, mindful of that risk. Friday's expiry. OPEX is going to be volatile. Keep in mind. All right, AMC has been down, needs a green day to support supply zone. AMC, excuse me. The problem is that they're gonna do a reverse stock split, and then they're gonna merge the 8 shares with the AMC shares. In terms of shorting it, I mean, you wouldn't be the only one on the boat trying to do that. If you're trying to short, guys, there is a gap to fill here at $4. It's trading at $4.22. Would I really waste my time on shorting it? I mean, unless you want to take a flyer on it, I think it's kind of stick with the mega caps and tech. Tech has been working. AMC can be volatile. We see it here. I've just been ranging since September. That's all we've been, between 8 and 377. So at least on the daily chart. Again, a wide range, but not much there, at least for me to want to trade. I've traded AMC before, GME, all these crazy names during the mania that we had with the meme stocks. How's Apple looking? Apple, let's take a look at it. Apple, I still have an alert at 157.40. Tough one here because again, you're starting to see that resistance here. Nice head and shoulders. Whoa, we could get a little more. If we break 157.34, I'm definitely targeting that 160 level. That'll be my target. But again, very similar to Qs. Obviously, Apple being the biggest part of Qs, Apple also has a very similar pattern of a inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish formation. Let's take a look at gold. GLD. GLD has a resistance level at 183.45. You got 178.21. You got a couple of gaps to fill. 175.45. You have a gap at 173.91. The only issue is that if you expect the dollar to fall, then that's not going to help. That's going to help gold. So you can see gold is actually up this morning. So if you're betting on a stronger dollar, then gold would be the better play for upside. If you're expecting downside, you need the dollar to go higher. So again, we need the dollar to be weaker for the gold to go higher, commodities. We need the dollar to go higher if you want gold to fall. But again, you have about 2 gaps to fill there. I'd wait for that gap first. Let's see it here. You have one here at 173.48. You got another one here at 170.78. And you also have one here at 175. So the 175 puts, I don't hate them. I just hate trading GLD. If we break 176.61, I guess you can do the 175s. They wouldn't be too high risk, especially if you have momentum to the downside. So I'll place an alert on GLD. We'll see what we get in terms of volume moving forward. If NVIDIA can't hold that 242 level, how do you feel about a short to 237? Oh, thank you for the question, Jeremy. Let's see it. All right, any gaps to fill? We got one at 232. But you're looking for 237. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Starting to hit his head of the resistance. I agree with you. You know, if you can't really get above 244, then you're pretty much just kind of hovering around here. The problem is on the 1 hour, you got another kind of a head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder setting up. The last time we had that, we just went sideways and popped, and then we went ahead and shorted it. I think it was 2 weeks ago on NVIDIA. I think it's kind of a holding pattern here. I think AMD is a better bet. In terms of trading, look at the momentum on AMD here, already above 90. And again, you can look at the daily. You got a little more room here. You got this resistance level here right around 91.12. If that does reject, then I would possibly play the puts if we get some reversals here. So again, keep an eye on that 91 level. If you are long AMD, I will start taking a look at taking profits, especially on calls. Maybe leave a runner if you want and see if you get a little more juice. Again, 100 is a really big level too. If we break 91.05, I'll take a look at the 93s, 94s for next week. Again, AMD is going to give us at least a little opportunity to either go long to 100, to that zone, or to reject 91.05, and we're just going to revisit 85. And again, all I want to do is just get back here. Not a double top, obviously, since we broke out of it, but we do have higher lows and higher highs. So AMD does have some momentum to the upside. Bullish on BTC and ETH. I am. Again, there are risk on assets. And again, Bitcoin has held up pretty well versus the financials, at least recently. So again, I do like those two. But again, you have to hold them long term. And to day trade them, man, that's a difficult endeavor. Price to add Google. If you're talking about investing, right now is not the time, guys. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have a Fed that doesn't know what they're going to do. We have the ECB today. We don't know what they're going to say. We don't know if this is the last bank failure. So again, this is still a trader's market. Been saying it since January. I think you can deliver better alpha by trading options while controlling your risk than adding stocks here. Unless you're dollar cost averaging in your 401k or retirement all day, no problem. But again, if you're just trying to get in and out of stocks, I think options are the better play now because you're not getting those swing opportunities yet. Again, a lot of our trades this week, hell, the last couple of weeks have been hitting within the same day and then reversing. Boeing, for example, we got 40%, it reversed. It went red because we bounced. So again, you have to be very, very nimble. And right now, we're just not in the environment to go ahead and invest in stocks long term. Not as yet. And again, you're probably thinking, oh, the financials. We don't know if we have another shoe to drop, guys. This could be a 2008 analog too, where you get the Fed cutting rates because they're afraid. And what happens? October, we flushed. Granted, we don't have any banks that are going through bankruptcy. We have banks that are failing, but bankruptcy is a whole different animal like Lehman. Again, that's a lot to think about ahead of time. Let's take it day by day. We're just not at a place to invest quite yet. We've just been hovering around the same area now, really since May. And again, we could see it here. Let's go ahead and go to SPY. Again, guys, 389. You're back to levels since May 20th. We've been stuck there. So if you bought SPY in May and you went away, you woke up today. Here, that rhymes. Here we go. We're at 390, same exact spot. So again, you're not going to deliver much alpha there in terms of return on your portfolio. Stability, sure. But again, if you're looking for alpha, I still think options and futures are the way to do it. Day trading would probably be your best bet. Would I buy FRC at this point? Well, I don't know if they're going to get bailed out. That's the question. But again, way oversold on pretty much every single metric possible. I mean, you could think of it. Your levels back to 2012. If you want to take a flyer on FRC, fine. I still think JPM is still the way to go. That's the fortress bank. That's the bank everyone loves. That's the one that's really too big to fail, according to the document that I retweeted. I believe that was an investment bank that was talking about it, like list of banks of importance, JPM being the top. JPM, Bank of America, these guys are going to benefit from all the deposits of a Regions Bank, FRC, Silicon Valley Bank. So I think the mega cap banks are going to be the safest bet for the future if you want to look for a discount. But if you're looking for, a quick lotto play, again, FRC, Key Bank, those guys, those Regions banks, they might give opportunities for a quick turnaround. Again, these don't last. So that's where we are. Let's see, Meta. Meta was another one this week that moved. And again, like I said, pick your horse. Google, Meta, AMD, Microsoft. I mean, they were all moving. Meta's pulling back a little bit. Again, talk about that TikTok ban. The word is that the Biden White House wants the CEO of or founder of TikTok to divest his shares since he's a Chinese national. If not, they're going to ban TikTok. This obviously helps Meta. Go ahead and include the news of their layoffs. 201.25 is a big resistance. You want to go ahead and break that before you do anything here. If you are long, you're possibly taking your profits here, especially if you have calls for this week or anything. So again, I would take that. Maybe you have the 200s, maybe you're in the money. But again, I would wait for that break, and then we can see if we get another leg higher, possibly the 220. And that's another 5% move to the upside. Again, gives us an opportunity, but Meta right here, we may be hitting our head on resistance right around 201.25. I'd wait. But if you have it, you can always take profits, move on, leave a runner if you like. Looking at AMD, 92 calls for 331. The only reason I don't like that trade is because you're nearing resistance at 91.05, and you're going to be premium burning the whole way. I would not get into that until you break 91.05, which is that key resistance that we had in August. If that does break, I don't hate the 92 calls at all, but I would wait for that break first. You're welcome, Jeremy. ECB up 50 basis points. Okay, so we're starting to fall a little bit. Tech is holding. SPX, any gap fills? Let's see it. Gap fills on the daily. I don't see any. Let's see on the hourly. Yeah, you have an upside gap here at 39.20. Pretty much where we're probably going to be later on today. Probably fill that gap. In terms of gaps down, we don't. We just have a gap to fill on the hourly, 39.19. So again, I expect a little more upside. This is why I'm holding those QQQ calls. Again, this ECB stuff, sure. I mean, it's always a headline nowadays. But again, higher highs, higher lows. NASDAQ is where you want to keep an eye on, since they have bullish relative moves to the S&P, the banking sector, industrials, at all sectors. It's been just tech. Oil has been absolutely getting hit. So again, starting to see a little bit of rotation out of value into tech. Why? Because rates are going down. 3.41 now on a 10-year. So again, this makes borrowing costs. We don't have a liquidity issue in terms of the banking. They're still willing to lend, but now rates are going down. That's going to help tech companies borrow, just not from SVB, I guess, and real estate to bounce a little bit, as we had housing starts actually beat expectations. Thought on Citi. Citi does look like it has a double bottom, at least for now on the 1 hour. Looks pretty terrible. Let's look at the daily where we are. Starting to fight near resistance around 43.81. You can see this resistance level here. Again, not much there on Citi. Let's see if JPM has a little better of a setup. JPM, this is a play that we traded the other day. Again, we played that support bounce, again, right off here, and we caught it. JPM does not look terrible. I think JPM looks better for a trade than Citi, in my opinion. Let's see if it holds above 128.35. We're now at 127.70. I'm going to place an alert at 128.35. If that does break, I'll keep an eye on the volume. Maybe the 135 calls for next week, maybe the 132.5 next week, depending on volume. Again, you can see that support from December. This is where we broke out of in October. Again, it needs to hold. So 128.35, if it breaks above, fine. If it breaks below, you're probably just going to get to 125, which is your 200 MA. And that's where we are currently. Keep in mind, JPM still has a golden cross on the daily. You have the 50 above the 200. So key. There we go. All these questions. Man, guys, thank you so much for all these questions. I really appreciate it. Usually it's right around 3 or 4 questions, a couple of good mornings, but you guys came in today with your homework ready to go. How exciting. Appreciate you guys as always. Have a great rest of your morning. Have a great trading Thursday. Members, I will catch you guys on the Discord for the live market chat. We'll keep an eye on Qs. And that's really the only risk we have on the board. Starting to hit a little bit south on Qs, but again, still holding up of that support. We do have a gap to fill on SPX. Thank you guys again. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note. Cheers.